I think few things divide the Diablo community more than the way Diablo IV handles loot. There is no doubt that loot is the most essential part of a hack and slash game. If there is no interesting loot or builds are too easy and quick to complete, the long-term motivation of players to farm for more loot quickly dwindles. However, a loot system that is too complicated and grindy is also not suitable for the masses, and a large portion of the player base will be deterred by the time investment required. It's no wonder that loot is such a complex and incredibly important topic where even the smallest tweaks can have a huge impact on the success or failure of a game. Today, we'll take a closer look at how loot and itemization work in Diablo IV, what the differences are compared to previous iterations, and what new features have been added. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for even more content about Diablo IV. If you don't want to miss any videos, make sure to turn on notifications for all, or else YouTube may not show you my videos. Loot. It's a topic I've discussed with friends and you, my community, for many years now. It's obviously the most important part of a looter game where everything revolves around the endgame and builds. And one thing I've learned over time is that it's practically impossible for developers to please everyone. But to sum it up in one word, item and loot systems in Diablo IV are going to be simpler. While some may celebrate this, I'm sure many will be skeptical, dislike it, or even outright hate it. We'll discuss this in more detail at the end of the video, so stick around until the end. But let's take a closer look at the loot details. In Diablo IV, there are fewer armor slots than in Diablo III. You have a helm, torso, gloves, legs, boots, an amulet slot, and ring 1 and 2. This means the slots for shoulders and belts are gone, according to the developers, for aesthetic reasons. Another big change is that each item now takes up a single slot in your inventory, so size and weight no longer matter. I personally like this, but I know it's a no-go for many. And loot is instanced, meaning each player in the open world or in your party will only see and receive their own loot. Trading loot will also be extremely limited. Legendary and unique items, as well as legendary aspects and items enchanted by the occultist, cannot be traded, making the entire system more or less useless. Loot comes in different rarities as usual. There are normal items without magical properties, magic items, rare items with better properties than magic items, and legendary items. The latter stand out with unique names, special abilities and appearances. However, unlike in Diablo III, legendaries will drop much less frequently in Diablo IV, according to Blizzard. And then there are also unique items, which are handcrafted items with predetermined affixes and very special abilities. They are extremely focused on build crafting and serve a specific theme. According to the developers, these are the items around which builds are created. There are dozens of new unique items, but also old recurring ones, such as Wind Force, Grandfather, or Mage Fist. Unique items remind me a lot of exotics in Destiny 2 or The Division 2, and I love such exciting weapons and armor. They have a special appeal because of their uniqueness and rarity. Even though I believe in the end only a handful of them will be really good and actually meta, I still like the concept and addition of that new loot category. Another major change from Diablo III is the introduction of plus rank affixes. For those familiar with the series, these affixes should ring a bell. With Diablo IV's skill point system, players can level up their character's skills by investing skill points into their rank. As a result, their abilities obviously become stronger. But the new and more exciting addition are plus rank affixes. Those can not only make existing builds stronger, but they may even unlock new skills that your character hasn't yet learned. So you might just get lucky and get an item drop with a specific skill you need for your build, but you wouldn't usually have access to until later in the game. This feature can be especially useful for players who rely on specific skills for their builds. When a player gets an item with a skill they require, it can drastically improve their performance and provide them with an advantage over their enemies. Although this feature might not be relevant in the endgame when you already unlocked all of your character's skills, it's still exciting to have the possibility to unlock skills early through specific plus affixes. Another new addition to Diablo IV is the Codex of Power. This system allows you to collect aspects of power scattered throughout the game's world. Every dungeon contains a different aspect, and you can search for a specific aspect that suits your build in a particular dungeon. You will find aspects not only for your current class, but for every class in the game, and also aspects that suit all of them. And that is also why you will unlock these aspects account-wide, meaning that they will be accessible to all your characters without having to grind for them twice. Aspects of power are essentially legendary affixes that you can use to improve your items. The Occultist, a new NPC vendor, will allow you to imbue aspects into your rare and legendary items, creating a new legendary item or replacing the item's default legendary affix with a new one. This system can help players achieve their perfect build by allowing them to customize their gear's legendary affixes to their specific playstyle. But it's not really perfect, as affixes imbued with aspects only come with the minimum possible values. So if you really want to min-max your gear, you will always have to go out, slay some monsters and hope you will get that perfect high stat drop. But it definitely helps getting your build off the ground and running in the first place. But if you find that item with the perfect legendary affix, but all the other values don't work with your build, you can consult the Occultist once again and save that high stat legendary affix by creating a legendary essence, which is essentially a storage for your affix. You can keep this until you find another item worthy to imbue with the legendary power. Of course, your item will be destroyed in the process. So, this system can be beneficial for players who have a perfect legendary affix but a lousy overall item. While this system may seem complex, it's not an entirely new concept in the gaming world. The Division 2 and many others have done similar things already. However, Blizzard has found a way to incorporate it into Diablo 4's gameplay and hopefully enhance the player's experience and loot grind. Although all the new systems introduced in Diablo 4 may help players obtain loot more efficiently and complete builds faster, Blizzard has stated repeatedly that they will not replace the importance of killing monsters to obtain the best gear in the game. Finally, players can now farm specific items more efficiently in Diablo 4. Monsters will drop specific items based on their monster family, making it easier for players to target the loot they need. For example, bandits are known to drop maces, crossbows and boots more often. If you're out for some new pants, you might want to go and say hi to the drowned. While I like this system as it can help players obtain specific items faster, I also dislike it because it can also be limiting, as players may be forced to grind in specific areas and kill a certain enemy type over and over again to obtain a specific item. So this system isn't perfect in my opinion. But that's the current state of the loot system, and I can understand why the hardcore part of the community is mostly unhappy about these changes that seem to dilute and simplify the loot system. The removal of armor slots alone is likely to upset many players, and that's exactly where the community is divided. Players who only want to play Diablo are afraid that the game won't offer them enough to keep them engaged for several thousand hours. And I get it, I know the problem from many other looters, but the core problem is the exact same as with all the other looters. Games are no longer made to appeal to the hardcore community. This player base is too small and doesn't generate enough revenue. I don't mean that in any way maliciously or derogatory, but from a purely economic point of view, this player group is hardly relevant. Whether it's Bungie with Destiny, Ubisoft and Massive with The Division 2, or now Blizzard with Diablo 4. The bottom line is to make as much profit as possible with their product, and they do that best by appealing to a broad mass of players in the long run. And those are the players for whom seasons, or more precisely the Battle Pass, are in the game. These are the ones who want to complete a build even if they only put in 10 hours a week in Diablo. And these are the ones who don't make money off of creating content on certain games, but just like to slay a few monsters after work when the kids are in bed and feel good about it. I can understand both sides, but above all, I understand the developers' intentions. They ask themselves, where does the most money come from? That's your target audience. Unfortunately, it's just a reality of the times we live in, whether we like it or not. But that's it for the video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and check out my latest video right here on screen. Have an awesome day and I'll catch you in the next one.